Welcome to Unselfishly Me, a podcast all about self-love, self-care, and everything in between. I'm Jane, a personal trainer with a focus on self-love. Each week, we'll be chatting to someone about their self-love journey, how long it took, and what it took to get there. Okay, today is the last episode of Unselfishly Me for the year, and it is the 50th episode. So I was like, I'm not going to record another one because that number is just too perfect. So yeah, I've done 50 episodes since I launched the podcast, and I'm really excited that it has got to that number. You know, you never know when you start these things if it's going to be just a 10 episode and you stop, or if people like it. And so yeah, I really appreciate you guys listening. I would love to have more listeners. So if you can share the whole podcast and try and get your friends onto it, I mean, that would be the best gift of all. So today I am wrapping this year up with my friend Siobhan. You would have known her as Luna Finula, and she also edits this podcast. We're just going to chat a little bit about her experience with COVID-19 because she had contracted it and she's been really sick. You would have seen on my socials. So we just want to talk a bit about that. And yeah, you know how it goes with her now. We just start chatting about things and, you know, we'll just see what comes up. But yeah, what a year. It's been insane. I don't even know how to even describe it. I feel like it's gone so fast and so slow at the same time. Maybe because of having a little one, you also judge time differently because you can physically like see them growing. I think the first 2 years are really crazy to be able to see the difference. And everyone's like, she's so big, she's so big. I'm like, yeah, she's quite tall, but she's still, you know, little. Like they keep reminding you, and it's kind of you die a little bit inside because you're just like, oh, yeah, it is. And even my friend Debbie came to fetch something over the wall, and we're chatting, and Pepe always likes to like peepo through and smiling and everything with Debbie, and she's like, she's getting so big, and then I actually just naturally replied, I'm like, I know, it's so sad. And then I actually stopped myself and I said to her, no, it's not sad. And I just said that it was like a conversation thing. I was just trying to be conversational. I said, I don't even know why I say that. You almost just say it to be part of the conversation, but I don't actually mean it. I'm not sad. I'm not sad that she is the age she is. I'm not sad that she's growing up. Um, Obviously when she's tiny and it was so cute and I loved it, but you also don't love it because the first 3 months you don't even know what's going on. It is such a blur. You feel alone, you feel lost, you feel so confused, you feel resentful, you feel so many things. You're obviously so in love with this little thing, but you're so busy. Like you are busy nonstop. Like when they say they feed every 2 hours, they don't, because it's like they feed for 45 minutes and then they fall asleep, but then you're going to change the nappy. Like you literally have 15 minutes to maybe eat something and go to the toilet. So like I don't miss those days. Like it was cute and cuddly, but I love seeing her grow up and I love seeing her personality. So I'm not sad that she's inverted commas big. I need to do a whole post on that because maybe I'll touch on it now. A friend of mine brought something up, and no one thinks that any of the stuff when they're actually saying it, and I'm not affected by it, but because a friend of mine had mentioned it, it's now on the top of my mind all the time. So I try not to say it to other people as well because of that. But when you say big, like my friend was like, I don't like the word big because I've been big my whole life and it just triggers me, and I don't like the word big because girls shouldn't be big and I was big, and so she's triggered by the word big. And I think it's right. Like we don't know how people are triggered because of their childhood and what they have been through or even conditioned to think. So for her, big and being called big is like a really triggering word. So if she has a child one day and the child, especially if it's a girl, is called big, or oh, your baby's getting so big, she's going to subconsciously be triggered by that because it's something that triggers her in general now. So I'm very aware of that word now. And I know it might sound silly to some of you, but so when people say it about paper, like it doesn't bother me because I'm not triggered by it, but I'm so aware of the word now that I'm just like, no, yeah, she's tall. So there are words that we need to think about. And this can be like a 2021 goal or intention of ours, is to think about, obviously don't walk on eggshells. You don't have to walk on eggshells. That's not what this is about and what life's about. But just have some awareness and some self-awareness of the words that you use to talk about things. So saying something like big, it might seem like nothing. And to us, but it actually can be triggering. So she's not big, she's tall, and also I'm like, when people are like, she's so big now, I'm like, she is like almost 18 months. She's not 4 months anymore. So of course she's going to be growing up and be taller. So that's just something I do want to do an Instagram post on it, because I think it's something that I never thought of before my friend had mentioned that. And I hope that I hadn't triggered her in the past as well, but something that I am aware of now. So now I can make you aware of it. So hopefully we can help those that are not telling us that things are triggering them, and that maybe we are still doing the same things that trigger them. It's something that we all need to just be aware of. Like, I don't want to have to put trigger warning in all my Instagram posts. That's one step that I won't go that far. But I think that simple little things like that, like it's already made me aware to be like, oh, she's so tall, like to other friends' babies and things like that. Another thing that I have found though with other moms in general is that a lot of other moms kind of say things to you because maybe they've been told it or said it by other moms. Like it's like this reoccurring cycle. So then they come across as so condescending to you, and they say the same thing to you that has been said to them. Or like the big thing, like obviously like my close friends don't mean it. Like they're just saying it in general. But like some other people are like, oh my gosh, she's so big now, you must be so sad. But the way and the tone that they say it in, or things that I can't even think in the moment right now, but there's certain things I just take note when people DM me or reply to my story and they say certain things, and I'm like, I think she was said this when she had a child, and now she's saying it in that tone to me as well. So it's just interesting to see how maybe you don't even know that you're doing it, but you could be really condescending, and just like almost shaming someone else because someone else did it to you. And that goes with anything, not just motherhood. Like it just goes with any behavior in life. And maybe you've said things at work, or people have said things at work, and then you take that pattern and you repeat it as well. So I think 2021 should be the year of not repeating patterns, whether it's with a narcissistic parent, and then you're repeating it with a narcissistic partner, or we attract things in our lives that are patterns. So you could be repeating that pattern without even knowing it. So something to maybe journal on for the end of the year, and just check what patterns that you are repeating. You might be attracted to certain friends that are the same, and that maybe you're repeating the pattern over and over by the people you're hanging out with. So maybe a clearing of patterns for the end of 2020. I think we all could do with that. Clearing of everything. But yeah, it's been a really hard year for everyone. I mean, I don't even know if I want to send her to creche in January. I was going to start, but now with the second wave that is literally hitting us now. I mean, the ICU beds are full already. So I know I don't want to go to hospital. I know I don't want her to go to hospital, because then I have to go to hospital and stay there with her. Like I'm just being as pedantic as I was and still am. I don't take her anywhere on the weekends. If we did, we go like to Tallulah or somewhere like Hillcrest. I find they've got more outdoor spaces. When we do go to Tallulah, we go get takeaways from their coffee shop, go into the gardens. It's almost like it's a wedding venue. So it's almost like a very mini botanic garden vibe, like just beautiful flowers and plants and stuff. And we go in the week, and we are the only ones in the garden, which is nice. We just sit there with no masks. She can run away. Well, she does run away and then have to catch her again. And then other people are sitting upstairs in the cafe, so we don't really get bothered, which is really nice. We just go outdoor places like that. There's literally only like 2 outdoor places that we really go, and only during the week when it's quiet. Haven't even been on the promenade because I've heard it's really bad right now. And so many people are not wearing masks. And I mean, she can't wear masks, so she can't be protected. So that's my main reason for not going. And we still don't go to any indoor places, even when we're on retreat. Oh, Hardy does really want to talk to you guys. And the even on retreat, like there were a few places that we would have gone, like Blueberry Cafe, for example, is like famous. And Nick loves it because it's blueberry cheesecake. This is amazing. And we went there, and I just have like a block because I knew they didn't have outdoor tables. And I think I didn't want to go, to be honest. I was like, oh, we can get a table on the front that's almost on the outside, and then we can just have our coffee and go stand outside. And then the universe was like, no, you're not comfortable. So they made me stand there for 7 minutes until someone would even come and talk to me. And me, I'm inefficient. I get irritated. I was like, this is bad service, bye. And we left, and then we found somewhere else that was really cute, a new place that we hadn't been to. And it's just outside, which is so nice. So we got our coffees and walked outside and saw the horses, and we were like the only ones out there. So see, I don't like indoor spaces, and even the universe is like, no, I'm not going to let you go there. So we don't take her anywhere indoors. And that's because, and I'll talk to Siobhan about that, I personally, my gut tells me it's airborne, and that is why it's so infectious, because we are just not, we just can't help it. Even if we're wearing masks, people go into places and they go to the shops and they sanitize their hands and they haven't touched anything after that, and they're still getting it. And I just believe that it's airborne. So for me, I don't go indoors just because of the air circulating. And I personally, I mean, everyone's different. I've got friends that go to indoor places every second day, and restaurants and bars and stuff. But I personally just won't risk it. I haven't even been for a massage since like January, because I don't want to stick my face in the hole. I'm like, ew, no. So I think everyone's different. I mean, I have asthma, so I've got to be really careful. Also, for Peyton, I don't want to risk it. I think if I didn't have a child, I would be maybe 10% less pedantic, maybe more, who knows, but I still wouldn't go to indoor places. Just me personally, I prefer but I always prefer an outdoor coffee shop or something anyway. I'm quite a nature, like I like being able to see out. So yeah, there's just, I will also talk about Siobhan's experience, but I did read, and this is any restaurant. I mean, every restaurant's going to have a problem, to be quite honest, because just the sheer volume of people that have it right now. And then you are taking your mask off and breathing. And I did see an article online. It wasn't even related to COVID. I was just reading something the other day, and they had done it. It wasn't even from now, where when you're talking, everything from your mouth, your breath, the little spit particles, anything, basically any virus or anything that you've got in your body that comes out actually hangs in the air for 8 minutes, which is scary. Because if you think about someone who is actually positive, and maybe they don't have a mask on, or you don't, even if they have a mask, it still comes through. Like, it protects you, but it still comes through a little bit. But say you don't have a mask on and they're sitting at your table that you're about to go to, and they are talking, it's going to hang in the air for 8 minutes. And the changeover of tables is maybe 5 minutes, so just something to think about when you're going out and about. That just also be aware, like if people are running on the promenade with no mask, I mean, obviously that is like literally in your face, because you don't have to wear a mask when you're by yourself, I believe, or that was the new rule a while ago. I always wear one even if I'm by myself. But yeah, something just to think about is, I must find the link to that article and post it. But it's quite interesting, and something to think about just for yourself. And when you're seeing friends and things like that, is literally it hangs in between you. So if you're going to see friends with no mask on, even like, I believe you should wear a mask as much as possible. And then if you are going to eat and drink, maybe like spread out 3 or 4 meters. Adelia and I were at Tallulah, and literally we were like 5 meters apart when we were drinking our coffee, and we still had a really good conversation. I would have been happy seeing her 50 meters away, just be grateful to see their faces in person. So maybe just think about that, and spreading out and not having that hanging between you, because there are so many people that are asymptomatic that I've heard of, and that is the actual problem here. If you had symptoms, you would stay at home and you would just be in bed. But the problem I find is that just the asymptomatic people that are unknowingly spreading it. And I mean, I would hate to be that person. So that's why, for me, I'm also just trying to take extra care to not pass it on to anyone else. And that's why I generally stay at home like a hermit. Anyway, enough about my ramble. I will obviously do blog posts and stuff about how I have wrapped up this year, what I've learned this year. I want to ask Siobhan what she's learned this year and what her COVID experience has taught her. So can you come save me from talking to myself, Siobhan?
Yeah. This year has been pretty crazy, I guess, for everyone. And I guess when like COVID appeared in the beginning of the year, I never thought that I would be ending my year suffering from COVID, but that's what I've been going through for the last 2 weeks. So, yeah, I can definitely vouch for everything you were saying. And I wish I hadn't gone to an indoor restaurant because I'm pretty sure that's where I caught it. Um, Dane and I have also been pedantic like you the whole year. I don't think we saw anyone until maybe August or something. And then we saw like two friends, and just for hiking. So we were even wearing our masks while hiking out in nature. Yeah, I don't know. I like sanitize everything. I wear my mask at all times, even if I am like walking on my own, even on a street where there's no one around about where I live. And Dane and I have even gone away a few times. In August, we went to Nima Lodge and Wilderness. We've been to McGregor. We've been to Paternoster. And we were fine. We went on these weekends away, but there was a lot of precautions in place at the places we stayed. And so I just thought we were fine. I was like, no, we're doing everything correctly, but you just never know like where this virus is. Like it really is everywhere. And so I thought originally that maybe we caught it from going to the supermarket or something, but then we put two and two together and we got a phone call from the restaurant that we ate at. It was Dane and I and Dane's twin brother and his wife. So it was four of us. And that was the first time we were seeing them since August. So yeah, it was like quite a big deal for us. We were excited to see them, excited to have dinner. And we were sitting on a table in a corner, like completely on our own. And, we were obviously, they checked our temperatures, we were sanitized, we kept our masks on until we were like eating. So I thought everything would be fine. But then a few days later, we got a call to say someone in the restaurant tested positive. And we didn't think anything else of it because I don't know, we weren't sitting near anyone. We were like, we'll be fine. So I think we just like kept going about our days. And then 2 weeks ago on Monday, like the end of November, Dane woke up and he just felt really ill. He said he had a headache that he's never had such a painful headache in his life. We actually joked that maybe he was hungover because he'd had some wine on Sunday. And then by the Monday night, like he was just super ill. And so on Tuesday, I was like doing everything, Tuesday, stupidly, I went to the supermarket to get us some like soup and to get him some medicine and stuff because I felt fine on the Tuesday. And I even took like a long walk. Obviously, I was wearing my mask and stuff like the whole time, but we didn't think it was COVID. I don't know. He didn't really have those symptoms. He just had a headache and he wasn't feeling very well. And we were like, we've been so careful. Of course, we don't have COVID. And then on the Wednesday, I woke up and I don't know if you remember, but I think I was editing an
Yeah.
episode for you that day or something. And I said to you, I'm just going to do it from bed because I'm not feeling that well. And that was the day when we were like, okay, we're both unwell now. Like, this isn't right. And so Dane went to take a COVID test at lunchtime. And even on the Thursday morning when we were waiting for the results, we're like, it's not going to be COVID. Like, this is just flu. Like, there's no way I think we thought that we're like invincible in a way that because we'd followed all the safety measures. Okay, yes, we did eat inside a restaurant, but everyone is doing that. We thought, surely it's okay. Clearly it's not okay because like you believe this virus is airborne. I also think that, like, I really think that now, because otherwise I don't know how we would have caught this. Literally sanitize after touching like anything. And so, yeah, then Dane got his result. It was positive. We were like, oh shit, this is real. This is happening. I didn't even go for a test because we called the doctor and he said, no, like, Dane has it. I obviously have it. And I was starting to show a lot of symptoms by that Thursday. So like 2 weeks ago. And then it just got worse. Like, guys, honestly, it's not like flu. Like, some people are like, oh, it's fine. It is just flu, or you don't really have any symptoms. Like, if this was flu, this is the worst flu I've ever had in my life. Like, it is as horrible as people make it out to be. And, thank God Dane and I are both young and healthy. And Dane's brother and wife also tested positive. So the four of us all got it together. And yeah, like it's awful. Luckily, we're all young and healthy. None of us had to be hospitalized. Like, thank God. But there were moments where it did get quite scary, where you are quite short of breath and your chest is really sore, and you think like, if you were on your own, which a lot of people have been this year, like I would panic and I would probably call an ambulance, because you don't know, it's such like an unknown virus still. Like they're still doing studies on it, and we don't a lot of the symptoms are so weird. Like I still can't taste anything, can't smell anything. Jane, I told you this morning, like one of the first symptoms I remember, just in case anyone else out there thinks they might have COVID, hopefully you don't, but my armpit, now this is kind of weird, but my armpit was like bright red and swollen and like burning hot to the touch. And I thought I was allergic to my deodorant, which I've been using the same like natural deodorant for years. And I was like, oh, maybe my body's rejecting it suddenly. But now I know that it was my body trying to fight off the beginning of the virus. And this was before Dane was even sick that I had this. It was like on the weekend, just after we'd eaten in the restaurant. So it was like an immediate, like my body was like fighting it immediately. And oh, it was agony. So that was one of the first symptoms. But yeah, the typical symptoms like a dry cough, a sore throat, a tight chest. Yeah, that is kind of like when you know, okay, please like isolate if you have those symptoms. Yeah, luckily, as soon as I did go out on that Tuesday, but I only went to the supermarket. I didn't have any contact with anyone. So there's kind of no one that I think we kind of put at risk. But if you do have symptoms, like it is important to stay at home, because there's so many vulnerable people out there. Like think about the elderly, think about your family that might be at risk. Like it's just not worth risking it around the festive season. Like I'm kind of glad we caught it when we did and not now, because we are due to go to spend Christmas with Dane's family. Actually quite nervous about that because his dad is diabetic. So definitely going to be keeping my mask on the whole time. Luckily, they have a little property, like a little granny flat that we're going to stay in. So we're not even staying in the main house. Like we can isolate ourselves and we can just see them kind of socially distanced, like by the pool area, which we're lucky to be able to do. But yeah, it's going to be a weird Christmas, I think. Like it's not. Yeah, there's no real festivities. I'm feeling like we're not really seeing friends, and yeah, it's just like a small family get together. And I guess that's what it's going to look like for most people this year. Yeah, we all just kind of need to be responsible. And I can just let you all know from experience that it's just not worth getting. Like it's, this, what is it, the herd mentality thing? I'm like, oh, God, no, because it's awful. Like, you don't want to get this. And especially you, Jane, like, with Peyton, like when you have kids and like your mom around and everything, it's just, yeah, you're doing all the right things. It's really not worth it. So
Yeah, and even with me, like I think even my brother and I think they think that I'm like this Hitler, that I'm just telling them to wear masks around here all the time, because I think when you don't have kids, or let's just say if you don't have like a young, like a baby toddler, you are a lot more lax. I know friends that have 5-year-olds, 6-year-olds that are still jawling in the village and things like that. And I know they're not wearing masks because they're drinking. So, I think when they're older, you just kind of aren't as pedantic or not don't care as.
yeah,
So even like with my brother and them, like I'm like, please wear a mask if you want to hold her, you have to wear a mask. If you want to get close to her, you have to wear a mask. Because I mean they work in corporate, so they're around people, and even you're wearing your mask, but then I know that them and other people take their masks off at their desk. So if it is airborne, which is what I believe, it's not like the air is not moving around. And you can't tell me that the corporates have turned the air cons off, so it's not filtering the air around. I do know my one friend was on retreat, and she's a teacher, and she said that they don't put their air cons on, which is interesting. I didn't hear of any.
mm,
I mean, obviously the corporates will never do that. They'll keep their air cons on, but I found that quite interesting that their school, they don't put the air con on in their classroom, which was quite interesting and really good. But so they're like sweating in their class. But yeah.
that's like us as well. My cousin in Scotland, he's been like because he got retrenched this year, he's kind of been working for the NHS, to the National Health Service, to kind of give phone calls to people if people think they have COVID, with like lots of advice. And he actually told us, yeah, like not to use our fans during this time. Like it makes it worse. I guess it's like spreading it around. So I can kind of understand the aircon thing as well. Like we're not actually meant to use fans either, apparently, if you have COVID. So we've just been sweating at home.
How annoying. Good things to know. Good to know. But Joe, you did say you were messaging me every day, and I was just like getting all your symptoms. And I remember it started slowly, and then you were like, I think it was the night 5 and 6, and we were like, you just need to get to day 7, because Dane was on day 7. He almost was like 2 days ahead of you. And you were like, I just need to get there so that as you can feel like we're like light at the end of the tunnel. But I remember it was the night 5 and 6 that you said were so dark. Literally, you were just like the worst night.
Yeah, it was horrible. And I think it's like, because obviously you're isolating, you're not seeing anyone. Thank God Dane and I were kind of together to go through this together in a way. Although I wish I wish not both of us had it. I wish he hadn't had it, because I wouldn't wish this on anyone. But, at least we kind of weren't alone. But yeah, day 5 and day 6, I literally couldn't move. Like I was just lying in bed. Even if you like, it's like when you even move your eyes, when you have like a migraine, that's what it felt like. Like my whole head, it felt like someone was squeezing my brain together. And then it was actually exhausting to even just toss and turn in bed, like to change sides. So that's kind of how I was feeling on those days. Like, and I love to read and watch movies, and I couldn't even do those things. Like I was just lying there, like even you were like meditate, and I would like try, but you couldn't even really focus on your breathing in a way. Like on those days, it was just so, it was awful. And I think it also like brings up a lot of like emotional and mental stuff too. Like one thing I've noticed with COVID is that people haven't really spoken about the emotional and mental effects of having COVID, because it is like very lonely. It's quite scary and anxiety inducing, because it is a new virus. And like, some people show quite weird symptoms. Like when you lose your sense of smell and taste, it's bizarre. Like it's actually quite frightening, because it hasn't come back for me yet. And I'm like, when is it coming back? There's these horror stories of people like COVID long haulers, they call them, where they still have symptoms 8 months later. So like people who caught it back in March, even now they still haven't got their taste back. And I'm like, oh, please don't let me be one of those, because it makes you also realize the little things are like the big things, like the taste of chocolate and like a cup of tea. I still can't. So one of the soaps that you put in your the self-love box, that was like my test. I would sniff it every day, and I'd be like, I remember in the beginning it kind of started to get like weaker, and that's quite a strong, I think it's lemongrass or citronella, I don't know, it's got a strong scent, and that was kind of my test. And I think by day 5 it was completely gone, and I was like, oh my God, like, and even now I can't smell it. I'm like, oh, it's
and it's lemongrass. It's strong.
Yeah, exactly. And I cannot smell it. So that's weird to lose kind of 2 of your senses. This virus is crazy. And yeah, just bringing up like a lot of emotional stuff, like feeling homesick, and like a lot of stuff came up. I guess I got quite reflective, just not just on this year, but on my life in general. But and then also obviously feeling grateful for a lot of things. Like when you do have something like COVID, you have to also focus on the positive. Like I find myself, and Jane, you were such like a good reminder for me, like always saying like, you made me a screensaver for my phone. Like I am healthy, I am healing, I am enough. And I still have it on my phone. And I think one day I journaled that. I just wrote that same sentence over and over again, like 4 pages of I am healthy, I am healing. And focusing on positive affirmations, on mantras, meditation kind of when you can, because it always does help. And some breath work as well, to actually get like the toxins out of my lungs. I found when I kind of felt strong enough, I think by like day 11, day 12, I was able to do some breath work, and that's kind of been a saving grace. And breath work has been like calling out to me for a long time, and I think it's something I'm gonna maybe do a course in January, because I do feel like it really helps me. and I'd like to share that with people as well. So there was some positives that came out of this whole thing, I guess. um, yeah, and yeah, I don't know. I feel better now. Thank goodness. We went outside yesterday for the first time. It was day 15, day 16. Yeah, day 15. Um, and we just walked around the little back streets where we live. There was like no one around, and I'm glad there wasn't anyone around because I still had to cough like a little bit. This cough is kind of lingering for me. If I make it through this episode without coughing, I'll be so proud of myself. But it's not so pleasant like coughing into your mask, but you do feel there's a little bit of like shame that has come with having COVID as well, and a bit of guilt, like looking around and wondering if people are going to be like, she's got COVID. So yeah, I know like Dane especially, he was struggling in the beginning with feeling guilt as if he'd given it to us, which is not true at all. But I think there shouldn't be any shame around it. Like, well, actually, I'm not like going to be judgmental or anything, but if you have gone to like a big party, like matric rage,
Yeah, hi.
that's kind of just irresponsible. And then sure, like you please sit with your feelings of guilt and shame if you pass it on to any of your family members. But like for Dane and I who have been pedantic, I don't think it doesn't serve us any, like it's not good for us to sit and think, oh, like we're bad people because we got COVID. It's like, no, anyone can catch it, and we probably caught it from people who were being irresponsible. So yeah, it's just kind of like those feelings of guilt and shame, we need to just kind of get rid of them in a way.
Yeah, because I know a lot of people that have aren't telling other people, and I'm like,
No,
you
that's
need to tell people so that they know, contact wise, or you know, I just think the more you talk about it and the more that you tell people your symptoms, tell them what you did, tell them how you regretted going to that party, that it's
yeah,
not fun, and how it feels like there's glass in your lungs every time you breathe. Like, people need to know these things, especially the people that look up to you, and the people that are maybe think that, oh cool, she's jawling, I can jaw too, it's fine. Meantime, you are so ill, and you don't want people to get that. Like, no one
exactly.
wants to get it. And this whole thing of like, oh, it's fine, I got it so mild, it's fine. Yeah, but you don't know the next person. Like, look how bad
Yeah,
you got it compared to someone else. Even just you versus Dane, like, you got it way worse. And you don't know how you're going to get it when you like healthy and young. So I just think people are being irresponsible, and you can literally FaceTime your friend or see them with a mask on. Like, just wear a mask. Like, that's the thing, is that wear a mask. You don't have to go jawling and going to bars, like, honestly, because then you're drinking so much that you actually don't even put your mask on back at
yeah.
all. Just things like that really bother me. So, what do you think your lesson for the end, astrologically, for the end of this year was for you?
I think honestly, like this whole year has also just been about kind of slowing down and surrendering. And even this whole process, like astrologically as well, like really diving deep into astrology this year and like learning about it all and learning more about myself and kind of giving people, like giving you and others who are interested, like the tools to kind of also learn about themselves. Like, as you know, Jane, one of your biggest North Node lessons is learning to slow down. And I think you've definitely kind of jumped a bit more on board with that this year, and perhaps, and moving forward, like for all of next year, that's also quite an important thing for you, and also for me, I think, as well. And for all of us, like we really need to kind of slow down. I don't know if you guys can all feel it, but energetically, there's a lot going on at the moment astrologically. So um, Saturn is moving into Aquarius, and Jupiter is also moving into Aquarius this week. And they actually meet on Monday. So on Monday, it's quite a big day in astrology. It's called the Great Conjunction, which I think I did mention in one of our previous episodes. But kind of up until Monday, I think we're all going to be feeling this big, like, collective shift, moving from the earth signs of Capricorn to the air sign of Aquarius, moving into the age of Aquarius. That's kind of where we're all going now, into this age where things are just going to kind of flow more. Things are going to be a bit more fluid. Things are going to be a lot more for the collective than for the individual. So we've kind of seen that this year. And I think that's also what this is about, like COVID in a way. it's respect for everyone. Like, I'm wearing my mask, not just, well, I'm not wearing my mask to really protect myself. I mean, I am, but I'm mainly wearing it to protect others. And that's what this shift is from Capricorn to
Mm.
Aquarius. Capricorn is still quite like me, like I'm going to climb to the top, and these are my goals, this is my money, this is my house, this is my country, kind of thing, into Aquarius, which is all about sharing resources and sharing skills, sharing content, sharing kindness. So moving forward, I'm like also thinking what I can do more for the collective. So, coming on this podcast with you today,
Mm.
sharing my experience of COVID, it's so that it can help others. Just, for especially for people out there who might feel like they are being like maybe too pedantic. It's like, no, you're not. That's great. Like, be as pedantic as possible. Or for people that might feel like,
Yeah.
oh, like, yeah, maybe I've actually been socializing too much. Perhaps it's time to kind of step back and think about others, because that's really what we all need to do moving forward. We need to embrace kindness, generosity, even with our businesses. Like, how are we serving others? I mean, your business is very Aquarius focused. I feel it's unselfishly me. It's all about the collective. Yeah, and just kind of stepping into that more and embracing it. And that's what I'm hoping to do with my business as well. And on a personal level as well, just, the more we slow down, the more we're kind of able to show up for ourselves. And then in return, we can show up for others. So yeah, that feels like one of the big lessons of the year.
Did you know that there are Unselfishly Me affirmation cards that you can buy for yourself? They are the perfect gift, whether it's for yourself or for a loved one or a friend. They are beautiful, they are hand painted, they are so motivating, they are so in tune with the universe. They will guide you and guard you against anything and everything that you are asking. They are 350 Rand and they come in a beautiful cotton pouch. They are for any age, they are so special, and they are such a pride and joy product of mine. I'm so happy that they came together the way they did, because I think they're beautiful. We also have kids affirmation cards that have just launched. They are 300 Rand. They are hand illustrated by my friend Christine, and they are super cute and super motivating for the kids as well. They can pick a card each morning. If you're a teacher and you have them in your classroom, you could pick a card for the week or a card for the day. They say things like, I am safe, I can do hard things. There are so many beautiful affirmations for these kitties. So you can pop online to unselfishlyme.com/shop and go and get them. Yeah, I'm definitely, I've been listening to a few more things, and the slowing down has definitely come up for me again. So I have done that, and I cancelled all our Secret Sunrise events this week, even though they're our favorite Christmas ones, because it just felt irresponsible. And I just felt like the wrong thing to do. And
Yeah.
so I've got time this week. So you'll be proud. I've got my planner for next year. I've got things that I'm going to start writing down to do blog posts and content, not for now, but for January, so that I can just do things slowly and things will be like a month ahead. So yeah, I'm planning to slow down and to keep this slow pace and not send her to creche in January anymore. So I'll have her at home. So I'll have to stay slowed down, and I can't speed up because I have her full time. So she's been a good lesson for me in that as well.
Yeah.
So I'm forced to.
And trusting your intuition, right? Like, you're trusting your intuition not to send her to crash. And if I had listened, I'm always like, trust your intuition, guys. And then the day we actually went to the restaurant, I messaged my friend Abby and I said, I don't really want to go. Like, something doesn't feel right. And if only I had actually listened to that, perhaps I would have avoided COVID. But probably not. I think it was going to come to me either way. But we must all honor our intuition. I think that's a big lesson for the year as
Yeah,
well.
exactly.
Yeah, and grounding. I don't know how you're feeling at the moment, but I actually just pulled on the new moon eclipse on Monday there. I pulled the Get Grounded card, and I've never pulled that card before. And I'd actually been speaking to some friends that day about how I was feeling quite ungrounded. And so that's kind of what I'm focusing on at the moment as well, as we move into the age of Aquarius, as we move into 2021, is just grounding. Like, what does that look like for you? Like, for me, that's taking, more salt baths. And I'm so excited to get to Dane's family's house because they have a huge garden and I just want to lie on the grass. Like that is what I'm craving. After being in an apartment the whole year, I'm looking forward to just like to physically grounding, like into the earth.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
that's,
I've just been in nature, so I feel quite grounded now. This last week,
yeah.
the last retreat really did that for me because it was half the amount of people of the other one. I mean, I love them both, different
Mm.
energies and different people and different healing and everything. But yeah, it was much slower pace than the last one. So yeah, I feel really grounded right now and
Oh, that's
ready
so nice.
to just slow down more now that I don't have this work this week and just, yeah, finish her baby
Mm.
book and her Instagram account that I haven't updated since she was 4 months old. Yeah, so there's lots I want to do that are not work related. So you'll be proud. Yeah, I think we should do maybe we'll do Instagram live for IGTV and just chat and yeah, do all the astrological. We can do this
Yes.
there on there as well, maybe. So
Yeah,
we can
let's do
carry on.
it. Yes. And I was just going to ask you before we end, what are your intentions for 2021? Like, do you have, I think we spoke about your word of like
Yeah.
community before, but
Community.
yeah.
Yeah. And so I'm definitely keeping the community. I've got some ideas like being, like you said, like being helpful. When you're talking about that just now, I was just thinking more like I'm turning my connect sessions, I'm going to turn them into ebooks. So people that prefer writing can do that. So that's my plan for January is to turn those all into ebooks and sell those as little ebooks. And
Nice.
just also on the newsletter front, like rather do more newsletters but shorter and punchier. Like instead of trying to put all the info and all the products into one, because I think that people read it, they're not even reading it because it's too long. So like just do some like 2 paragraph newsletter of like something helpful and tips and things like that and topics, which I did
Yeah.
in the beginning, and then I kind of COVID hit and then lockdown, and I started feeling desperate, I think, to try and push products, and because I lost my job basically. So I felt very desperate. So now I'm feeling grounded again and confident in the boxes and the cards and all that stuff, that I don't really have to push them as much anymore, that people have been sharing them, my community, which has been amazing when I lost my Facebook pages. So yeah, definitely still community and being helpful and serving the community that I've already got, instead of trying to like grow my audience. Obviously I'd like the audience of the podcast to grow, please, thank you. But growing like your Instagram following, and that's like I'm rather just focusing on the people I already have. So that is my intention for 2021.
Nice. I like that.
Yeah. Yeah. So, if you enjoyed our conversation as always, then please share this episode and share some of the other ones. I'd love to increase my listeners for next year. And then I can carry on doing it, because obviously it costs money to put on podcasts and time. And I mean, if you don't share it and we don't like, you don't see an increase in listeners, like it almost doesn't feel like there's a point, So I'd love for you guys to share podcast as a Christmas present to me. Thank you. And yeah, we will definitely do some Instagram lives so that you guys can learn all the astrology stuff. So yeah, we'll, after or maybe while we're on leave, we'll see if we're feeling relaxed and if Siobhan's feeling up to it on her road trip, hopefully. But we'll update you on Instagram. And I hope you guys have a very Merry Christmas. I'm surprised I'm not doing a Christmas episode next week, but that's because I have boundaries now and slowing down. And I hope you have a very happy new year and stay safe. And yeah, we'll see you on Instagram. If you didn't know, Unselfishly Me and GI Jane Fit and Luna Finula. Thanks for listening, and we won't see you next week. Thanks for listening to Unselfishly Me. Follow us on Instagram at Unselfishly Me and check out our website www.unselfishlyme.com.